And welcome to another Tuesday Tidbits Talk. My name is Mark Eibner, and today I have a very, very special guest with us, Mr. Larry Carr. And Larry, welcome to Tuesday Tidbits.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to talking.
Awesome. So why don't you just give us a little bit of history for those who don't know who you are. I think you're one of the, how many founding members were there for Metro?
Six members. Six of us set up an organization, and we called it Metro Brokers. The concept was each of us could do what we wanted to do that was legally selling real estate, and the people that wanted to work hard got the benefit of their efforts. The people that wanted to take weekends and nights off, they were rewarded conversely.
Metro was founded, we're at 44 years ago, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And for our members, why don't you share that the original Metro office was really commercial, right?
We started off as a commercial brokerage at First Federal Savings and Loan Building at 4301 South Broadway. And we were right across from the South Suburban Board of Realtors office, which was located in First Federal Savings and Loan as well. And our first office, we started off, we had one guy that had connections with a contractor, built semi-private little cubicles, and then we had a large conference room, and the whole concept was that we had an experience sharing, expense sharing situation where people could come into an office meeting and say, I have a listing, or I have a buyer, or I have a transaction. I want to get input from everybody's experience and figure out how I can do the best job for my client.
So how long was it, or what was the duration before you guys started, or the history behind you guys allowing residential brokers to be part of Metro Brokers? What was your philosophy there?
We started off as commercial because that was most of our backgrounds, and we ended up with a group of brokers that set up an office, came to us and said, listen, we want to abandon the traditional real estate office, and we want to be Metro Brokers. Once they heard the concept, they were just excited about it. We looked at it as a tremendous opportunity because we were competing with some pretty much large regional commercial brokers, and we thought getting extra real estate signs in the marketplace would get our name known and make us a good force.
And so you guys were competing with some pretty big regional commercial brokerages back then, just like there's probably some big commercial brokerages now, right?
That is correct. And so the focus started off commercial, and we thought, well, it's not going to hurt us to get signs out, get our name known, and hopefully build a corporation in which we weren't paying a large company for the privilege of using their name. Our concept was we are going to be marketing giants, and we started off with the Metro Brokers stop sign and the Marine Corps colors, red and yellow signs, and we ended up competing very well and have had tremendous response over the years, not only to local buyers and sellers, but a lot of relocation buyers and sellers, and now we're even on an international basis.
Awesome. So I think originally I was first with Metro Brokers like 88, 89. There were even limits back then, office by office. And why don't you tell us really how the 6 broker minimum came to be, where you literally had to have 6 independent companies to open up an office, because we do have some changes coming in regards to that.
Yes, the idea is we didn't want a lot of one-man shops in different locations. So the idea was a minimum of 6 brokers per office. And now with COVID-19, with the change in real estate, where more people are working out of home offices and meeting clients at the properties and so on, we're getting to the point where the necessity of having a 6-person office is kind of passé. So the idea is now that the change in concept has been that any of the money that we're getting as dues, we want to go to our local and national advertising, our budgets there, because we want to make a large imprint on our buyers and sellers and our brokers, and yet give them the opportunity to work as an individual company.
Yeah, and that's one of the big changes, Larry, is the fact that we're putting spending constraints on administrative costs, personnel costs, and leasehold costs. The only spending bucket that will be unlimited will be the marketing and branding, and that'll have to take a majority vote of all the constituents and shareholders to change that amount. So if we want to go hire someone or go buy a building or even sell a building, it's going to take the vote of everyone to do that.
I think that's an excellent change. The concept is when times are good, we can add people and payroll, and all of a sudden when times get a little bit tighter and people start watching their pennies, we want our dollars from our fees to go to advertising and things that are going to build our image locally, nationally, and internationally.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, a lot of us have been in leadership for a while. We've seen a lot of good and bad things with Metro, but putting these in our bylaws so that we can sleep at night not knowing when we have, X $1 million coming in, we know where the bulk of it's going to go, which is it's going to go to branding and marketing. So that brings up another question. You were talking about 6 broker minimum. We've now been operating under, this is one of the changes that the actual shareholders will have to vote on. We've been operating under the 1 shareholder or 1 office managing broker, and you have to have 5 associates to open up an office, which has been really nothing but a hassle over the last 10 years here. So now we're actually looking at, yes, we're going to allow a single individual to be able to open an office that's just not contiguous to any other office in a parking lot or a building, and run their own business from there. What are your thoughts on that then, Larry?
Well, most of us are working either from home office situations or from executive suites, and we're finding that we don't need the large office, large staffs to do that. And so to have our money going toward marketing versus administrative is just an absolute step in the correct direction.
Awesome. Yeah, we think so too. We felt the real impact of teams, and I think now, if you look at some of the guidelines, I think teams are going to have their own problems in regards to 1099 versus and subcontractor rulings and so forth. Metro Brokers has always really been we're the largest single owned and operated brokerage in Colorado, with over 365 different independent companies operating right now. 365 companies operate in the state of Colorado.
That speaks very, very well for a concept that appeals to people that are true entrepreneurs, that can handle the administrative part of a real estate brokerage on their own without direct guidance and a corporate atmosphere to have to comply with. it's great for an entrepreneur.
Awesome. So one of the other big changes, probably the biggest one really, I mean, if you look at Metro, was founded by, first of all, commercial brokers, and they were all supervising brokers. These brokers all owned their own companies. And then we allowed residential brokers in. And a lot of, depending on the office you were in, you weren't even really allowed to have associates, even as a residential broker. The office I went into, you could have one. I was the one associate that my broker had. I was the single one. You could not have more than one associate. And I think that was mostly for keeping professionalism and experience up in the organization.
Absolutely. That's a key factor of Metro Brokers is that we like to think that we give brokers the framework in which to operate, and we give them the experience and the knowledge of people that have been in business as long as myself, 44 years, and yet we can do as we want within our own office environment. So it's a very fine line, but it's a very good line that allows us to operate as independent brokers and yet have an umbrella operation that is designed for marketing.
Yep. So that big vote change we're going to be asking our existing shareholders to approve is for that all members. So all members, i.e., some of the people that are actually managing brokers that are not shareholders. We've not created any new shareholders in the last 3+ years. And also people that are broker associates. We're asking the existing shareholders to basically allow everyone in our organization to have the same voice, as I think Kay Watkins spoke very well, like their money spends the same as our money as far as being a shareholder.
Absolutely. And they are entitled to a voice. They need a voice. If we're going to exist and progress as an organization, we need to enable everyone within the organization to have that voice and be able to see where their money goes, be able to vote on the framework, how the money's spent, and it's an absolute ideal change. It's long overdue, in my opinion.
Yeah, and just I think it's been. I mean, the structure of Metro's always been. Think about it: small companies with one shareholder or a managing broker, maybe just by themselves or one or two associates. So it really never seemed to make sense that, well, why don't we just let everyone vote? But I think we're at that point right now, especially with the advent of what I call fake companies or teams. We have all these fake companies that are operating as companies, but they're not companies. They call themselves teams. Those are the people we're really looking for, people that want to have their own culture, their own business, everything. And that's one of our prime targets here at Metro Brokers.
I think that's a very good opportunity for us. And I'm still active in the real estate business. I talked to a number of past Metro brokers and past people that have bounced around from company to company. And my question to them has always been, well, what was a particular reason you left Metro Brokers, as an example? And I think we have to focus on how to keep the people that are good professional producing brokers in the fold, and expand it and do what's necessary to build our war chest so that our name is number one on the internet, number one on national advertising. We've got a golden opportunity, because let's face it, not many of us could spend $650 million on, or $1,000, I guess it is.
$600 to $1 million a year. Buy or something. I tell Larry, I tell most people, if the only real brand marketing you have is a small 8 by 14 inch magnet on your car door, and maybe your Facebook ad, you've probably got problems. You know.
Yeah, that's the broker that's going to do the one deal a year. We that probably isn't the person we necessarily need in Metro Brokers. We are designed for active brokers that can work with buyers, sellers, and have their own agents if they so desire, or not have their own agents if they don't desire. And so the idea is that we just have to adapt to a new market. We need a new vision, a new focus, and these changes are long overdue. We need to make them and make them now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about everything that we're doing. The board of directors and executive has a lot of time in this so far. I mean, like, as I was telling you right now, effectively, the board and executive, along with all of our marketing vendors, we're very tight. We run the organization. We don't need people telling us where and what to spend our money on. We'd rather spend the money we were paying them to tell us where to spend our money. That's the whole idea about the concept of Metro Brokers moving forward. I think if you look at some of our production numbers, I mean, last year we did close to $3 billion in production. Average Metro broker doing basically 11 and a half deals, which is double or triple what a lot of brokers in town are doing. I think a lot of people's jaws drop when they find out half the population of brokers don't even do one transaction a year. I mean, think about that. They don't even do one transaction a year. So 11 to 12 is a great number for Metro. And I think these changes are going to get, I think a lot of the younger people or some of the people that weren't involved are not wanting to be involved because they thought they really didn't have a voice, to start getting involved in Metro Brokers again.
Yeah, it's long overdue, and we just have to change with the times. That's part of life.
Hey, Larry, I really appreciate you being on with us today on Tuesday Tidbits Talks. And if you've got any questions for myself or the board of directors or even Larry, make sure you send your questions into info@metrobrokerscorp.com. That's info@metrobrokerscorp.com. If you've got any social media that you need shared with everyone out there, you can send that into social@metrobrokersinc.com. Those are the two emails you need to know to really find out what's going on at Metro. Anything else, Larry?
No, I think that's it.
Awesome. Really, really appreciate you having on board with us.
Thank you.